Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. I am Bearded Dev, and today we're going to be doing another SQL tutorial, and we're going to be looking at the insert statement. If you do like the video guys, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. What we're going to be looking at today is how to insert data into a table. So we're going to be putting data into our tables within the database. We want to cover two scenarios here. So we've got a new customer and we want to add them to the customers table, and we've got new books in stock and want to add them to the books table. We're going to jump over to Management Studio now and go through some examples. So we're now in SQL. I'm just going to show you a quick tip, everybody. So if I open up the bookshop database and open up my tables, we're going to be working with the customers today. Now, one of the options I have got is I can right click on that table, scroll down to script table as, and then click on insert to and click on new query editor window, and that opens up the insert script for me. We're not going to be using that. We could just change this list down here of the values that we want to insert. We're not going to be using that, we're going to be writing it out manually, but I just wanted to show you that you can do that as well, because it's just easier. It's just simple to just quickly click on that and it opens up the script for you, but we're going to go through an example of it manually. So how do we write an insert statement? We begin with the keyword insert and then the word into. The word into is optional in SQL Server working with T-SQL, but it's not optional in other database platforms. But I always like to add it there because insert and a table name doesn't really make sense to me. I like insert into, and in this case we're going to be working with DBO customers. Now again, what's optional here is we can actually list the column names, so that would be useful if we're only inserting into certain columns, which we will be going through in a short while. So I'm just going to list the column names here. We're not going to list the primary key because that's automatically generated for us, so I'm just going to write these out. So first name, middle name, and you can quickly see why it may be a lot easier just to generate that script for you. But as you know, I like to do things the hard way. But it is good to know the syntax, especially for any exams, or if you go to an interview and there's a technical test. It may be written, so you haven't got that option to generate the script for you. So I'm just going to write out all the column names here. Last one, date of birth. So I'm going to be inserting into those columns. And then what are we going to be? We need to indicate what we're going to be inserting. So within the script we write the word values, open brackets, and we're going to be inserting a new customer in this case. Her first name is going to be Anne, middle name is Marie, surname of Smith. And notice how the order I'm entering these values matches the order I've indicated on the top. So if you were to change this order round, you could actually do that, and then it would just match it up. So this would be effectively column 1, so see first name, which would match to this down here. But if I put that at the end, I'd have to move Anne to the end just to make sure it was correct. So it's a lot easier just to write them out within the order specified. Again, you may just be using SQL to generate that script for you. I'm going to be inserting into all columns within the table, even though some are nullable. And we will be moving on in the second example to how we can work with those as well. Yeah, so I'm just going to continue to enter these. Telephone number. This is not real data, by the way. This is just data that I've made up. What's after telephone number? An email address, and.smith@email.com, and a date of birth. Let's make nice and young. I've left that open, so I'm just going to close that. well, say nice and young, she's not that young. Okay, so that's an insert statement there. So I'll just write it out, insert into table name, and then values, and then I guess just values. So a comma separated list of the columns, and then we have the keyword values and the values that we want to insert. So I'm just going to highlight that top query now, and we'll run that, and we'd expect one row to be inserted. So let's just execute that and see what happens. In fact, let's run a query against our customers table rather than doing select star. Meaning, so I've wrote out all the column names. I'll just drop this into my select here from our customers table. So at the moment we've only got 5 customers. I'm going to highlight this query at the top and execute it. We've got a message here of one row affected, which we hope that has been inserted. So now if I run the select, we can see we've got our new customer, Anne-Marie Smith. Welcome on board. Please buy lots from us. By the way, stay tuned to the end of the video where we're going to be looking at an insert select. So slightly different to what we're doing at the moment. We're just looking at basic selects, but we will have the option to look at an insert select later on as well. So now what we're going to move on to, we've learned how to do an insert, which is very important with SQL. We're inserting new data all the time. If you think of a piece of software, when someone clicks a button, enters their details, they may be signing up to a mailing list or something like that online. They may be becoming a customer of a shop, making their first purchase, and they've got to put all the details in. So all that information is going to be passed to the database, and it's going to run an insert to put that data in the database. I have also recently done another video on update as well, guys, so if you want to check that out, that's part of the DML within SQL. And I've got another video on how to create backups and restore as well, so that's important if you're working with changing or inserting new data as well. So we're going to move on now to our second example. We're going to be looking at insert again. But if we look down the left hand side at our columns, we can see some of these columns are null. So the middle name, the second line of the address. So we might not be inserting those into the table. So I'm just going to copy out this top line here just to save me having to go through that again. Copy and paste is such a good thing. We're going to take out the columns middle name, and we're going to take out, what was it, second line of address, because not everybody has the second line of address. And again, we're going to list our values. So in this case, we're inserting into the columns we need. We don't need the nullable columns. Again, they are nullable because we may not have that information. It's not something that everybody has. So not everybody has a middle name. I actually don't myself. So I'm just going to type these out now, and we'll see what happens once we run the insert. When I planned this video, I didn't realise I'd be doing so much typing. Again, this is not real data. This is just something I come up with in my little head. I've actually got a huge head. And the date of birth last of all. Okay, and we'll just close the brackets. So now we're going to be inserting, but we're not going to be inserting into the nullable columns. We haven't got that information, it's unknown to us. So I'm just going to highlight this script here, this insert statement, and execute that. And we can see we've got again one row affected. Now let's run a select again from there, and we can see it's inserted those nulls for us. So we don't actually have to indicate that those columns are going to be null. We could do, but we don't have to. We only have to insert into the columns that are required. I haven't got any distincts on here. What I'll do is I'll take out first line of I'll take out the address details, and I'll take those out of the insert as well. So let's see what happens if I try and run an insert where I'm not going to be inserting into columns that won't allow null. So let's run this now. Cannot insert the value null into column first line of address. It does not allow null, and therefore the insert fails, and our statement's been terminated, which is exactly what we want, because we don't want data to go in that we can't have. We don't want it to be null. We don't want to be able to insert data and leave columns that can't be null as null. So that is a good thing that that fails. We're now going to move on to our second scenario. We've got some new books in stock and we want to add those to our books table. Now I'm going to write out the query. I'm not going to stay on the mic while you listen to me type, that's quite boring. So I'm just going to write out the query and then I'll be back with you. Okay, so I've wrote out that query now. So we're inserting multiple rows now into our books table. So we're inserting into the title, author, year, barcode, stock and type column. I've run a select on that table down here in the results grid. So how we insert multiple rows is a comma separated list of the values. So our first line here is one row, and then we put a comma and then our second details. So that's how that allows us to insert multiple values into a table. You can see here I've also got a select on this table just to give me the maximum barcode ID. I should really change that to be an auto incrementing number, but I haven't at the moment, so I'm just running that because I'm lazy rather than typing it out. So I'm going to run this query now and we'll see how that affects the results. We're inserting 3 books, so we're expecting to see 3 rows affected, and if we run a select all from the books table now, we can see our new rows have been inserted. By the way, has anybody read any of these books? I've read We're Going on a Bear Hunt. It wasn't for me, I was reading it to a youngster, and I also went on holiday recently and read The Great Gatsby. These books are from the 100 books to read in a lifetime list, which I'd really like to achieve. So put your comments down below. Which of these books have you actually read? What did you think of them? And which ones would you recommend? The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat sounds very exciting. That seems a very unusual title and could be a good read. Eventually I will get the full list of 100 and probably extend that further. But anyway, I digress. We're going to move on to the last example, which is going to be looking at an insert select. So earlier on I did a video on import and export wizard in SQL Server. If you haven't checked that video out, guys, go and check that out. I will provide the link in the description below, as well as the update video and the backup and restore video as well. So I'll just show you what I have brought in from an Excel spreadsheet. So this was just a hypothetical situation to say we'd got some customers that we needed to add to our tables. So I brought this in from an Excel spreadsheet within that video. Where's my select from customers? There we go. So we'll just run these two together. So as we can see, we've got some data I want to get from this table into another table. Now we have got a problem in the fact that we don't have the telephone number, which is not a nullable column, so we can't actually add that. So what I'm going to do to get around that is something quite naughty. Just for the sake of this insert, is I'm going to alter that table, I'm going to alter that column and change it to be nullable. So C underscore tel to char 15, and we'll alter that to be nullable. And if I refresh my column list, we can see that now allows nulls. Is there anything else I am missing within this query? I don't know, but I tell you what, we'll run it and find out. So we're going to be inserting into our table. In this case, we're going to be looking at customers, and we're going to be inserting into first name. I will copy this and take out as necessary. So have we got an email address? Yes. Have we got a date of birth? Yes. Have we got a telephone number? No. Have we got a postcode? No. That might be another column I'll need to change. We've got the city. We haven't got a second line, but that's nullable anyway, so we don't need to worry about that. And we haven't got a middle name. Okay. I've taken out the comma there and the comma there. Okay, so same syntax, insert into our table, we list the columns, and then instead of listing our values, we're going to run a select statement just as we would normally. So we're going to select first name, surname, we don't want date of birth, we want first line of address. I haven't refreshed my IntelliSense, guys, so that's why it's coming up. It will be coming up with squiggly lines at the moment, and then we select DOB last of all, and that's going to be from our customers Excel table. So you can see there it doesn't pick it up because I haven't refreshed IntelliSense. I believe it's Control Shift R to do that. There we go. So now I've got rid of those squiggly lines. Now I've noticed that I am missing the postcode, which is not null. So again, we'll just run this as an example, and again we get that failure to say the postcode column cannot be null. But we are very naughty, and we're just going to change that column so we can have nulls. So just run an alter column statement, and just change that to allow nulls, and we'll get rid of that. Let's have a look at our customers table first of all. So we've got 7 in there at the moment. I believe from this table we have got 10. We've almost doubled, we have more than doubled our customer base with this query. So if I run that, 10 rows affected. Let's have a look at the customers table now. Okay, so our new customers have gone in there. Now I can't change those columns back to be non-nullable because we have null values in there. What I'd have to do is run some updates to change those postcodes and telephone numbers and add that information. Maybe I could give, well, I can't even give these customers a call because I don't know their number, but I could add that information in and then change those back to be not null in the future. So in summary, if we want to insert just a few rows and we don't have that data already in the database in another table, we'd use the insert into our table name and values and then a list of values. If we want to copy data from one table to another, we can run an insert select, and that is just a normal select. So we can use grouping, we can use joins within that, as long as the columns match up. We can also use a where clause to filter that data as well. So sometimes in a database you might have an old table, it could be an archive table, and then you might have a new version of that table. Probably not the best situation to get yourselves in, but an insert into select can help that as well. We'll also be looking at in the future of working with inserts within stored procedures, so we'll be working with parameters, and we'll probably do some videos on working with variables as well, because we can use variables within the insert statement. Really hope you've enjoyed that video, even though it was a lot of me just typing, but I hope that gives you an understanding of how to run the insert statement within the database. Do check out my other videos. As I've mentioned, I'll put a link to the update video, the backup and restore, and the import and export wizard as well, so you can have a look at those and have a play around yourself. Subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming soon. I do upload videos regularly. I like to get at least a couple a week onto the channel, and click that notification button so you can be made aware of when I am going to be uploading videos. So if you hit that notification button, you'll be sent an email just to make you aware that I've put a video up onto the channel. Thanks a lot for watching.